Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong.
I guess it's no wonder why Trump and the people around him who are trying to protect him, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Mike Johnson, Fox News, why they're working so hard to cover up the Epstein files. Because if what's in those files that are sitting on Pam Bondi's desk is anything like what we saw today in this huge email dump of Jeffrey Epstein's emails, well, it's just as shocking and horrific as every other of the times that we as a nation have had to bear witness to this disgusting stuff when it hits the news headlines. When we saw that drawing that Trump did for Jeffrey Epstein's birthday book, or we heard about what Trump did to E. Jean Carroll, or when he was running for president the very first time, the remarks that he said to Billy Bush about women. So this morning, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released just 3 emails. And then Republicans in Congress followed with a trove of another 23,000 emails. And the gist of it is Trump and Epstein were very close. We already knew this. Trump knew everything that Epstein was doing. And the cover-up started way back then when he was running for president the first time. It's stuff that's pretty hard to read like this. This is Jeffrey Epstein to the author Michael Wolff. Of course Trump, knew about the girls. He asked Ghislaine to stop. Here's one from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim, who we've since learned today was Virginia Giuffre, spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned, police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. Here's the White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt answering questions today.
Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that...
That sounds like a dodge.
Why not just go ahead, release the full files on Epstein, get this all over with?
This administration has done more with respect to transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein than any administration.
Another non-answer.
Why are White House officials then meeting with Representative Boebert in an effort to try and get her to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files?
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please? Doesn't that show our level of transparency? Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit?
She did not deny that the White House was meeting today with member of Congress Lauren Boebert, and it's also been reported Nancy Mace, because today is the day that Adelita Grijalva is being sworn in after Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has refused to swear her in for the past 7 weeks during the shutdown because she would be the 218th signature, the final signature required on the discharge petition that will force the DOJ to release the Epstein files. That's why they're trying to get to these others. Remember, that's a bipartisan list of members of Congress signing that petition. And now Trump's transparency meetings sound kind of like a mob boss trying to lean on some of the names on that petition, like Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace, to try to get them off of it before it gets its 218th signature. Trump was panicking today on Truth Social. Here's his post. The Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. That sounds like a warning. There should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else, and any Republicans involved should be focused only on opening up our country and fixing the massive damage caused by Democrats. Nothing to see here. Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna, who's been involved in this bipartisan discharge petition effort, says, no problem. If you want to play that game, we have got 40 to 50 Republicans who would join Democrats in supporting this bill in the House. So it may be a fool's errand for Trump, but he's trying to do whatever he can to peel people off this petition. And it makes you wonder, after everything that we've seen so far, how much worse can it be, whatever's in those files? And is this really the beginning of the end for Trump? You also have to wonder, with the ICE raids and the cruel memes and the troops in American cities and the unpaid air traffic controllers and flights canceled and the refusal to pay out food assistance that people depend on to literally ensure that they and their families don't starve. How much of these things were about the policy choices of the Trump administration? Yes, but also truly a distraction from whatever he is trying to cover up. It's crazy. The news broke this morning, and all morning I was seeing articles in every major publication: The Wall Street Journal, Politico, Axios, The Washington Post, BBC, All the New York papers, New York Times, the New York Post, the New York Daily News, Celebrity, like People Magazine, it was everywhere. And I kept on going back to Fox News website and refreshing, like looking for the article. And then I typed Epstein into the search box. Nothing came up, nothing, all morning long. Eventually, there was a little article that appeared on the front page for an hour or two of their website. It has since disappeared from the front page again, but here it is. Look how many comments it's gotten from Fox News readers, 13,500. And lots of them are a version of this. At this point, I think there is no choice but to release all the files and let the people decide for themselves. If there's nothing, then there's nothing. I'd like to see the full set of documents released to the public with only the victims' identities redacted. More importantly, though, anyone and everyone complicit in these crimes needs to be investigated and prosecuted. Party and position should not be a factor here. Commit the crime, face the consequences. They can eliminate politicization by releasing them at any time, make it make sense, release everything and let the world decide. The best way to prevent cherry picking is to release all the files in their entirety. Yes, let us release all the files. There will be high-profile men from both parties. It just goes on and on. People, even viewers of Fox News, want all the files released. Well, even if Fox News tries to protect Trump, it's breaking through even to its own viewers. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the reaction of MAGA folks online who are speaking for themselves with no gatekeepers. You know, our fresher media landscape is a mixed bag, but we don't really need Fox News to filter out the news for us. We can see with our own eyes what is happening. It is there for the world to see. And I really do think that this could be a breaking point. So of course, we'll learn a lot more about this in the coming days. We'll be talking a lot more about it. I'm very interested to see what Trump's base is saying on TikTok and Reddit and elsewhere. There were some questions to the White House press secretary today about whether Trump had thoughts on if Prince Andrew was called to testify by Congress about what he knows, whether Trump might be dangling a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell in front of her to keep her quiet. So lots more to come out. We'll keep talking about this. But in the meantime, let's remember this date, November 12th, when I don't think there's any going back. A lot has changed. I realize that this video within a day or two is going to be old news because so much more information is going to come out, including about other powerful men around Trump. Alex Acosta, who was part of the early stages of the cover-up, who let Jeffrey Epstein off with a lighter sentence, eventually was appointed Trump's labor secretary. Alan Dershowitz, who we already knew was close to Epstein. I've seen Russians mentioned. So a lot of powerful people's names will be out in the open before long. I want to freeze this moment in time because I think they know that the dam is breaking.